Okay, everybody, this is the video where I'm going to show the Beatle records that I got in a recent haul, where the guy who sold the collection had bought a lot of them originally in the shrink wrap, and it just looked like he sliced the sides of them. These are all Beatle related, not all Beatles as a group, but solo stuff too, and it was really a great collection. And I also have a lot of non-Beatles records from this collection that I'm going to show when I make my regular Vinyl Finds of All Kinds video. However, I don't have all of those in my possession at the moment. Some of them I'm going to go and get later. So I'm ready to go here, and I'm going to start with this item that was not in shrink wrap, this particular one, but it looks like they just basically had taken the shrink wrap off. It's a white album, and I really hope that the video does it justice. I have never seen a white album this white, and the gloss is still on it. You know, it's pretty perfect. And usually, you know, these are all very dirty. You can clean them up, but sometimes that takes some of the shine off. This still has the shine. And the inside, of course, has the photos of the Beatles. Whoop, almost dropped it. Okay, it has the four Beatles photos in it. And of course, the poster is here. I'll probably show the records in a lot of these videos. In a lot of cases with these records, they really do appear as if they were played once. I can see there's a little, looks like a little bit of scuffing on this. Was that dust? Can't see if it's dust or a little bit of scuffing down there, but these records are really in great shape, and as I say, most of them look like the guy just wanted to save them. I mean, I know that a lot of people who were around in the 60s, Bobby Gass, can you tell me? Because I know you were around then, collecting records. A lot of people back then, they say they didn't necessarily, you know, try to save records. I mean, back then you just ripped the shrink off and you just put the damn thing on, and that was it. Nobody was thinking in terms of collectibles back then. But that doesn't mean that, take the second record out here, doesn't mean that every once in a while you're not going to come across a guy who was a little bit eccentric that did like to keep his albums, you know, minty and maybe save them. I mean, I tend to think that if I was around in the 60s, well, I was around, I just wasn't old enough, but if I was an older record buyer, I think I might have said, you know, maybe I'll keep this in the shrink wrap, maybe I'll try to preserve it somehow, maybe buy 2 copies, you know, one to play and one to keep. I know people weren't really geared that way in the thinking back then. That seems to be a later thing, right, that came along, but I don't know, I tend to think I might have thought that way. Another question is where to put these. I don't want to put them anywhere dangerous. Okay, we're going to go in all kinds of sequencing here. We don't know what's coming next, but this is Two Virgins album, John and Yoko. Pretty sure it's original. Let's just check a few things here. And I'm going to try to show this strategically. I'm not going to show the frontal nudity here. You know, we've got the bag. This is the only time I've ever seen it say, it says for adults only on the top. It's stamped in there. You know, I never saw that before. It opens from the side. You have the side opening rather than the top loading. I don't. Anyway, there's the top. I don't think the back is that much of a problem, but just in case it is, I'll cover it. You know. It's in really good shape. You know, I don't think it's that much of a big deal to find Two Virgins albums looking minty, because I'd really be surprised if anybody ever played the Two Virgins. It's just weird to look at some of these records here and see that they look brand spanking new and unplayed, except for the usual, like, little bit of dust there. You can see the dust on the camera even. You know, it needs to be dusted off, but these things are not played. And I've never played the Two Virgins album in its entirety. I played snippets of it, but it was a project I was thinking of doing sometime in the near future, playing all the experimental albums of John and Yoko and George Harrison even, and see what it comes across as when I make a video. See what I think. Okay, this is Life with the Lions, unfinished music, number 2. Also, likewise in the Shrink, and it's on the Zappa label. And for those who want to stick around, once again, looks like, needs a dusting, but really in good shape. Here's the inner sleeve to this one. Okay, what do we got next? All right, next up is going to be a George Harrison item. I never came across this album like this before. It's a Dark Horse album in shrink wrap, but it's also got this really wonderful hype sticker that I really like. And I believe this is not necessarily the very first press, because I think the first pressings have a very white type of label where you could barely see the image on it. And I think this was more like a second press. Looks like a little cat hair here. I don't know if it's cat. It looks like cat hair. And again, these records just need a dusting, really. You can see a little hair on there. Need to be dusted off with the carbon fiber brush. Okay, next we're going to get to a Beatles album. I figure that'll at least whet the appetites while I'm attempting to put these albums back in their jackets. That's the only bad thing about doing a video. It takes a time, especially records like this that you want to preserve nicely. Okay, here's an original U.S. Yellow Submarine in the shrink. I had a copy of this in the shrink, but these are really pristine. They're very white. I mean, even sometimes, even though it might be in shrink, and you may find it that way, very rarely do you get shrink that's really clean. Oh, I didn't know this was in here. This is a surprise. I didn't know this was in there. So it's not money, unfortunately. It looks like it's a magazine article about Yellow Submarine. So it looks vintage from the day. Somebody stuck this in there. All right, let's get to the record. Record is very nice. I was a little struck by the Yellow Submarine title in very bold lettering. Kind of like stuck out at me on this one. And it's very, very sharp looking record. Nicer than the one that I had. Oh, that's nothing. I'm glad I reminded myself. By the way, I have already sold off a lot of these duplicates. That's to help myself get some money reimbursed for the money that I spent on this collection. I obviously taking records that are doubles, still nice, but maybe not as nice, and just get some money back. So that helped offset a little of this. Okay, next up, we're going to do another Beatles here. It's got like a little, I'll take this, it's like a $1.98 sticker. I'm going to leave that there. It's a stereo copy of Revolver US, and it's in the shrink, obviously, and just really fine, really perfect. I don't usually show the spine. It's not easy to see anyway. Really, really clean, really nice. The record is gorgeous, but it does say, this particular copy does say a subsidiary of on the bottom. I wish I would have dusted these off to really show you how good they look. I mean, I really wish that I had dusted them first, but I usually, if I play them, then I dust them. But it's just really nice. I don't know how well that comes across. Beautiful. Uh, so yeah, I was able to reimburse myself some cash by selling off some of the duplicates. Next up, we're going to go back to George for a minute here. The Wonderwall music by George Harrison album. It's got, price written or something on the shrink, but it's in the shrink. I mean, you just don't get a chance to be fortunate enough to see albums like this in the original shrink wrap, the breathing holes in it. It contains the inner piece of bonus material here. And the record what can I say about this one? It just looks great again, Okay. Sorry for the delay here, folks. All right, now here's one that really, I want to run this by everybody out there and see what I've got here, because I was just mentioning the other day, this is a damn hard album to find, original, in shrink wrap or in minty condition. And I'm hoping this is really an original. I think it is. It's the McCartney album, not in shrink per se. It's been put in one of these bags. I don't know if it came like this. I don't think it did. Hard to find this in shrink, but when I took it out of the bag, I mean, this is unblemished. Because it's a dark area on this cover, the black area, you always see this album scuffed to hell. And I look and I think, this looks like it's a Columbia repressing or something, CBS. This can't be the original, I'm saying to myself. It's got to be Capitol, Columbia or something, but it really is in fine shape. And this is one of the most elusive albums to find like this. And when I opened it, the first time I opened it, can't really hear it. Maybe you heard that, I don't know. There's a crack. It's like never really been opened, this gatefold, before, from 1970. And of all the records here, this is one of the happiest ones for me, because it's so hard to find this looking immaculate like this. Again, it doesn't really do it justice. I can see that this needs a dusting again, but there's the label, McCartney logo writing on the side. Really nice shape. Again, looks unplayed, played once. Really thrilling to have this. This is one I want to take especially good care of. Okay, the next album, we're going to give Ringo a shot here, because I got a Ringo album in the shrink. It was an album that I had a hard time coming across in the shrink for quite a while, but I eventually did find it in shrink before. But this one was even better. Again, you try to upgrade best you can, right? This is like really nice. The Goodnight Vienna album from '74, and really tight, like new shrink wrap. Really beautiful condition. The inner sleeve on this is like really nice too. It shows the guests on there, including John Lennon, who played on the album and wrote a song for it. But just really, sometimes you get these, the corners are folded over, or you've got seam splits. Another good shot of John Lennon and May Pang on the bottom there. May Pang. And again, looks great except for little fuzzies and lint and stuff like that. I swear, look, here's a good example. This thing, it looks mint, but look, you see the white? This come right off with a brush. They're just like lint and things like that. maybe from the paper inside. It looks like when you take it right out of the wrapper, because sometimes you get those little particles from not playing it ever, I guess. I don't know. It looks unplayed. Okay, while I put this one back in the jacket, we're going to go over to, oh boy, we're going to go over to George Harrison again. Please bear with me. This is tough here. Okay. George Harrison, Electronic Sound. Now, when in the world are you going to find George's Electronic Sound album in shrink wrap? Would you tell me that? I mean, other than the fact that it just got re-released in 180 gram, which doesn't count, folks. I mean, that's how I feel about it. Sure, I could buy all these George Harrison albums reissued now. They're coming out now. I think they are out. Minty, but they're not originals. You know, it was Apple. All right. I usually don't put Yoko Ono albums in with these, but because this is the collection, the same collection, I decided to put this one in here. It's Yoko's Feeling the Space album in the shrink. This one looks like, I just noticed first time, it's probably a promo or something, because it's got the hole punch. The store sticker is over it. I didn't notice that. So, anyway, I'm not going to show you the record. Trust me, it's mint. Here's the Wings Wildlife. Really nice tight shrink with the hype sticker on it. This one came from Alexander's department store, for those of you like me who remember Alexander's. Same consistency of these records all the way through. Same situation. I have some more to show here. Next one, we're going to go back to Ringo. But I think everything that's left is not going to be any of these shrink-wrapped albums. Like this one here. This is a bootleg Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band. I picked this up right after, in 1989, right after Ringo had toured, and I saw him for the first time. But Starlight Records. I had this in my original collection, one of those albums I sold and never got back until now. So I got this one back too. Here's a picture disc that I got from the collection, the Beatles, the deck of tapes. I'll take it out of here. It's actually in another plastic too, so whatever. You got John and Paul on one side, and you got George with Pete Best on the second side. Coming down to just a few more, but they're interesting nonetheless now. I don't know if these are from the same collection or not, but this is very odd. This is something that I didn't even know existed. I don't know if this is from that same collection, but it's actually a Valentine's Day card, CD. It says Baby It's You on there. This is from the 1990s. Baby It's You, the Beatles, from Live at the BBC. I'm guessing 93, 94, I forget when it came out. You open it up, and there's a card there, Valentine's Day. And it says, Happy Valentine's Day from us to you. And it's just apparently a CD of the one song. Turn it upside down, Baby It's You. Which I had never known about before, so this was really cool. Then I got, again, I don't know if this is from the same collection or not. I've got something here. It's Help, the Open and Interview from 1965 from the Beatles, Psychedelic Records, made in 1990. This is the back. The record itself, I'm really anxious to play this one. I like to get the Help logo up there on the top, which I like very much. Okay, last item for this video is still an interesting item. This is a bootleg EP. The Beatles, each one supposedly individually numbered. This is 0321. And it's got some interesting addition to it, if I can just pull it out of here. Okay, it opens up kind of like the White Album. It's got some photos there, the Beatles. You can see the track listing there. I hope it comes through well. The tracks, these are not the regular tracks. These are all unofficial tracks. They're not the regular songs. They're all unusual takes and demos and things like that. The records, they come in white sleeves, and they're on white vinyl. This one's the Maharishi song with Not Guilty. Both of them are like this, you know. This one's got Mother Nature's Son and Look at Me, a song that John Wood put on his first solo debut studio album. And also in this little kind of poster thing that I'll open up here to finish the video off with. Come on, we can do it. Ta-da! It's kind of like a mini poster. And it's got these lyrics to the Lennon Ono credited song that's on the album, the Maharishi song. It's got all the words to that. So this was a fun video to make. Hope you enjoyed it too. I'll try to do the vinyl finds of all kinds as soon as I can. I don't know how long it's going to be before I'm able to get all the rest of the records that I want to put on here and show you. But the next vinyl finds of all kinds I do will be that one with the Shrink collection. Thanks everybody. Thanks.